Reed to Jonathan Taylor on broken tackles. Now they come over the middle. It's intercepted. Intercepted at the 40, near side 45. Picked off. It's Juan Thornhill.
That was part of a solid season for Juan Thornhill in 2021. He's one of several players on this roster that competed in the Senior Bowl back in the day when he was a prospect. Creed Humphrey's another one. He competed in the Senior Bowl just last year, and we all saw what Creed did in the NFL last season as a rookie. Time and time again, we see players that compete in the Senior Bowl. They hit the ground running in the NFL, and they're some of the best rookies in the league. So, could the Chiefs add to their roster from the Senior Bowl yet again in the upcoming NFL Draft? For more on that topic, we're checking in today with Jim Nagy. He's the executive director of the Senior Bowl. Jim, what's up, man?
Hey, Matt, how are you, man? You left out Trey Smith, too.
Yeah, it's a pretty important one, isn't it? Just a sixth-round pick ends up being one of the best guards in all of football. But just like I said, it doesn't always matter where you're drafted. If you're competing in the Senior Bowl, you're probably a pretty good player, and we saw that with Trey Smith all year long. Now, Jim, I want to ask you about three specific position groups here that the Chiefs could possibly address in the upcoming draft, and we'll start with edge rusher. Were there any edge rushers down there in Mobile that really stood out to you that could make some sense for the Chiefs?
Yeah, it's a really deep class, regardless of Senior Bowl or if you include the juniors. If you need pass rush help, this is a great year to get it. And I think a couple of guys really emerged in their time down here in Mobile. I think Jermaine Johnson from Florida State is a guy coming into the week, was probably a fringe first-round pick for most teams and probably solidified himself, maybe even in the middle of the first round now. You know what Jermaine brings? He brings a lot of power and a lot of relentlessness. So as a first-year starter this year at Florida State, being a backup at Georgia, really kind of forced the transfer, forced him into the portal. He got 4 times as many reps this year for the Seminoles and won ACC Player of the Year. But what he's got speed to power. He can rock you on your heels, and he just gets after the quarterback. He's, like I said, he's really relentless, high motor guy. Had a really good first couple days of practice down here, and then tweaked an ankle. But Jermaine's coming out of Mobile with a lot of momentum in the process. I think Boye Mafe from Minnesota is a guy that really helped himself, had a couple sacks in the game. What you're looking at with Boye is a really high-end athlete. We're talking about a 265-pound man that's going to jump 40 inches at the combine here in a couple weeks. And still has some refinement to his game, but it's one of those guys, kind of like when I was with the Chiefs with Tamba Hali. When he gets around the quarterback, he's got a disruptive knack. Like he's a guy that he can get the ball out. And again, the goal is to get to the quarterback, but when you get the ball out like Tamba did, it takes it to the next level. So really, those are a couple guys that stood out during the week. Arnold Ebiketie from Penn State is another guy. It was definitely one of our deepest position groups. You can kind of go down the list, but I think Jermaine and Boye definitely helped themselves. And I'd throw out Jesse Luketa from Penn State as well, another guy that had 2 sacks in the game. Jesse's a little bit different than the other two, and then I think that he can play off the ball at linebacker in base downs as a first and second down off the ball linebacker, and then in sub situations put his hand on the ground or getting a 2-point and get after the quarterback off the edge.
Yeah, certainly lots of depth at edge rusher in this year's class. You start comparing guys to Tamba Hali, Chiefs fans are going to get pretty excited. So we'll see how these guys test at the combine, how they look later on, but certainly a very deep class of edge rushers. Now I want to stick on defense and look at the secondary next. Were there any corners or safeties that really stood out to you down there in Mobile?
Yeah, some guys had really nice weeks. If you're looking for more off-man, I'm kind of losing track with the coverage you're playing there in Kansas City now, but if you're looking for more of an off-man guy, it would be Roger McCreary from Auburn. The guy can just cover. Bottom line, like you can talk all you want about measurables or anything. This guy can just cover people. Roger played in the slot down here in Mobile, which you didn't see a lot of at Auburn. And he's just a sticky cover guy, and he can finish. When he's in position to make a play, he gets his hands on the ball. So, if you're looking more for big, taller press man corners, there's a bunch of those too. I think Caleb Evans from your backyard there at Missouri is a guy with a really high ceiling, big, long corner, physical. Tariq Woolen from UTSA is a guy that's kind of just scratching the surface, being a former wide receiver. Again, fastest guy we've ever had at the Senior Bowl over the last however many years we've been with the Zebra technology people and that do all our tracking data during practice. Tariq was the fastest guy at this year's game and the fastest guy we ever had. So there's been a lot of 4.3 guys in Mobile over the 4 years I've been here. So we don't know. Tariq might be one of those. I think he's just touching 6'4", high 6'3s, 33.5-inch arms, and he might hit the high 4.2s. So, there were some good corners. And then if you're looking secondary help at safety, Jalen Petrie from Baylor is a guy that really showed out in the game down here. Play him in the slot, and he's going to blitz. He's going to impact the game. He's good in the run game. Just a really feisty player. So, yeah, some good guys to plug in and play right there.
Yeah, with Steve Spagnuolo's defense, often we don't see just corners or safeties. It's really, truly defensive backs, guys that can do a little bit of everything. And Petrie's one of those guys that can truly do everything on the football field. Now, last part of this, we'll go from the skill guys on defense to the skill guys on offense. I want to ask you about wide receiver. Any wide receivers stand out to you that could make sense for the Chiefs?
Yeah, most teams are looking to add speed. I don't know if you guys need to do that there in Kansas City. You got plenty with Hardman and Tyreek. If you're looking for some bigger bodied guys to maybe give your unit a different look, a little more, diversity at the position group, there's a couple guys. Christian Watson from North Dakota State is, 6'4", 210-pound guy that's going to really run fast at the combine. Again, referencing the GPS tracking stuff, really good acceleration down here for a big guy. Can stretch the field. I think the biggest thing with Christian is catch consistency. I think he did a nice job with that down here in Mobile. I think he really answered some of the questions he had there in terms of just how natural a catcher he is. So, North Dakota State used him in a lot of different roles there. I know you guys are really creative on offense, but they did a lot with Christian to get the ball in his hands, whether that's, jet sweep action, getting the ball to him quick, hitting him down the field. I mean, just really a versatile, big, tall playmaker. And another guy that kind of fits in that same mold is Alec Pierce, who we didn't get to see a lot of here in Mobile. Alec only had one day on the field before he hurt his shoulder, one full day. But out of Cincinnati, another guy, 6'3", 215 pounds, going to run fast, really good contested ball catcher, does a nice job down the field tracking it as well, athletic on the ball. So those are two guys, if you're looking for a little different skill set than from what maybe you have in Kansas City right now, those two names make sense.
Yeah, just like edge rusher, wide receiver is really deep this year, I feel like. There's guys in the first round who are really good, but you can find good players later in the draft on day 2 and day 3, I'm thinking. So should be a lot of fun. I wish the draft was here already. We have to wait several more weeks. But as you guys always say, the draft really begins in Mobile. We got a great look at a lot of these prospects already because of the great work that you're doing. So if you're not following this guy on Twitter, you're doing it wrong. Follow him at Jim Nagy _SB, one of the very best in the business. He adds a different perspective and some different access if you're looking for more on the NFL draft. Jim, awesome stuff, man. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. Go Chiefs.